Hi, and welcome to Module 4, Part 1. This is our fifth unit, and we're talking about the impoverishment or the socioeconomic status differences within, um, typically we're going to be talking about within our country, but I am going to start with some demographic information about our world, and that will help us take a better look at what's happening globally. It's not an easy module, I have to admit. In fact, it can make us really itchy. Um, Most of us have food in our tummies, and we have a roof over our head, and we have clothing to wear. Um, but that's not the case for everyone, and that can be hard to look at, to think about. We empathetically don't necessarily typically want to go there, because why would I want to feel that hunger or feel the pain or the fear of being without shelter? Um, but I'm going to challenge you to take a look at the information and to be empathetic and to not point fingers or blame. Let's look at what we can do to enhance our compassion for the differences in socioeconomic statuses throughout our nation. So in the face-to-face, I typically do this little exercise where the students are divided, and let's say it's a group of 30 students, and um, I have assigned a number of students to each of these groups. So in group A, I have one student. In group B, I have 7 or 8 students. In group C, I have 9 or 10 students. In group D, I have 2 students. In group E, I have 3 students. And in group F, I have 2 to 3 students. Okay. Then I have them placed on a table, and a table represents the global surface area, and then of course the density. So in group A, when I had the one student, that person just has a tiny portion of a table. And in group B, when those 7 or 8 students, they get an entire table. Group C with the 9 or 10 students has one table, but group D with just 2 students has 2 tables. Group E with 3 or 4 students has just a half a table, and then Group F with just 2 or 3 students will have 2 full tables. So you can kind of get an idea of what density looks like, how much global surface area. And then we start talking about school attainment and amount of water, and we find that it's not equally distributed by any means. Group F tends to have the most number of dollars and the most education and the most clean water. There are some groups, for instance, group um, groups, let's see, A, B, C, and D um, don't have enough water for everyone at the table. In fact, one person at each table is going to have to deal without water. Um, there is higher level of death in groups A, B, and C. We always lose at least one student from each table due to death. The expected levels of years of schooling in group A, it's about 5, group B 8, group C 10, group D 13, group E 13, and group F 15. And so we can see that throughout the world, it's inappropriate, not inappropriately, it's there's not an equality of distribution. So there are some people who are very hungry. I also do an exercise where I divide up the students by continents and distribute food in that way. And so I take 30 cookies and if I have 30 students in the class, and um, each country then is given a number of students that show how many people are in each of those on each of those continents. And in in that exercise, the students then are are divided. Then I give out the cookies according to how much food each table should get. And in our Asia table, it's usually packed, and the majority of our students are there. And in our Africa table, second only to Asia. And they get just a portion of a cookie for each person. In fact, sometimes they just get a few crumbs, whereby then the North America table, the students get over half of all of the cookies. And typically there's either one or two students sitting at that table, and then they have all of these cookies to themselves, which is way more than they can eat. And so I asked the students then to take a look at what does that feel like to be on either of those tables, or those tables, what's that like? So anyway, I like to do that exercise just to give a more global awareness to poverty and what hunger looks like. And in this opening module, or opening part for this module, I challenge you to start looking at what poverty looks like in our communities.